Everybody can say hi, YouTube, because you guys will be appearing in the YouTube video. We have all the traits except the packed traits, just so everyone's aware. Which means that all the packed traits are really good, though. I talk about them all the time. They're really, really good. But we might have to make a new one once this event ends. We'll see. And we'll see what traits come out of it. You know what I'm saying? But this is just for the start of 2023. Like, it's a new year. So let's get all the traits that we've gotten, all the changes to the traits, and put them up on a tier list. All right, first we got adrenaline. This thing is garbage. I don't even remember what it does. I think it gives you stamina at low health. I think it's like a 1-pointer. Really, really bad. It's not so much that it's 1 point that makes it bad. It's that it takes up a valuable slot that you can only give to, I think it's like 15 traits total per hunter. So like you never really want to pick it up. There's just so many better traits. Garbage trait, garbage trait. Ambidextrous, if you have dualies, I'd say it's like a B. It's not mandatory for dualies, but it helps. Helps keep you in the fight. Assailant, okay. I'm gonna put it down here. So it is good. I rock axes every game, throwing axes. Like literally if I can bring them, I bring them. And I like throwing knives a lot. I think it helps throwing knives a lot more. But once again, it's taking up a slot for a lot of more valuable traits. It can be useful, and it's definitely more useful than this one, but it's just not gonna compete with all the traits up here. And you only get like 15 slots, so there's going to be a lot of traits that just kind of take a little bit more precedence than that one. We got this. We'll put it at like B. It's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. We'll see how S, triple S, S, and A, pan out. It might go up to A, but it's pretty solid. It makes it to where all the dogs and stuff, the crows, they don't notice you as much because you're not making as much noise, and you can sneak past them a little bit better. This one, I'm gonna put it C. It has its uses. It's pretty good to pick up if you find it lying around the map. But once again, there's just too many traits that are way too good. This one's garbage. I think it lets you find bolts on the ground or something. This is definitely an SSS trait if you're using crossbow or hand crossbow. Very, very, like pretty much mandatory. Makes those weapons extremely good. Just the timings of like shooting something and reloading beat out a lot of different timings, like res timings and heal timings and all kinds of stuff. So if you're running a crossbow, a main crossbow, you should take this trait 100% of the time. But specifically for that build. If you're running any other build, then it goes down here. If you don't have a crossbow or a hand crossbow. But if you're running a crossbow, it goes up there. Bullet grubber is down here. It has its uses on a few guns to save a few bullets. Sometimes it makes the reload longer, like in Berthier's case. So even then it's not too good. It's really flashy, but it's not that good overall. Looks cool, just not needed. Bulwark is definitely, we'll put it in the S tier. It's very, very good. If you ever have 2 extra points, you should probably pick it up. If the SS's are all picked up and stuff. Very, very good. Conduit's probably going to go up here too. Very, very good, not needed. But it gives you a little bit more sustain. You can pick up clues faster. Like even if there's clue guardians on it, you can wait till they hit you. Then you grab the clue and it pops you up to full health. It gives you 15 minutes of stamina if you grab all 3 clues. And then if you pick up bounty, it gives you 5 extra minutes of stamina. All that is super useful. Having it fill up one of the 15 slots is definitely worth. Dauntless is good, but not mandatory, and that's where we're going to get into the 15 slot. This is one that will like alternate in my opinion, so it's like just barely knocked out of the 15. You know what I'm saying? It's just barely knocked out of most of the time, where like it's like the 14th 15th trait that you want to get. Pretty good. You can make some crazy plays off it, but overall I would say it doesn't quite make it into that 15 slot. But yeah, really clutch, really cool. I like that trait a lot. This is a Scopesmith. I don't know which one. Where's the other Scopesmith? Okay, here's another one. Where's the other one? We'll be able to find out by putting them next to each other. I don't know where the other one's at. So this looks like Deadeye. Deadeye Scopesmith, if you have a gun that uses it, It's very good. And that's what I'm saying is like, so if you're using crossbow, you would take this. If you're using like a Deadeye Vetterli, you'd take this. If you're using a Deadeye Martini, then you don't need this. So maybe we put it down here, but it's kind of in that where it's like a build oriented trait that you should pick up if you need it. So like Vetterli needs it, Berthier needs it. Like those weapons, it just increases your fire rate, makes your 2 shots more consistent. Scopesmiths are very good. Like someone shooting a Berthier, all right, without a scope, and someone shooting a Deadeye Berthier with Scopesmith just straight up shoots faster. You can see further, shoots faster, doesn't knock you out. You can get aim punched and still like be pretty close to on them. You don't have to reallocate your aim every shot, which you have to do with 1-shot rifles and things like that. So the Scopesmiths, for the build that they're good in, you should pick it up. So like if you're using Sniper, if you're using Marksman or Deadeye, and they're a multi-shot rifle, you should pick them up. If you're using Spark Sniper, you don't need this. You don't need this. But if you're using Mosin Sniper, you need this. Very, very helpful. This is trash, probably the worst trait in the game. I think it's called like Decoy Supply or something. I think this is the worst trait in the game, pretty sure. But it gives you like a few tool extras sometimes. It's really bad. Don't ever run it unless you're memeing. Determination. So it depends on how you want to play this game. I'm going to put it probably at C. Stam shots and conduit. Conduit's just straight up better. Like hands down, even without stam shots, conduit's just straight up better. It's better for the slot, better for the amount of trait points. Determination makes your stamina regen a little bit faster after you've like meleeed and stuff. So if you don't play with stam shots and you don't play with conduit, it's definitely like an A tier. Like it's not going to be better than these, but it's something you could pick up. But if you play with stam shots or you play with conduit, then it goes down to C. I play with stam shots and I play with conduit. So I personally never use this trait. Like it kind of goes down there for me. But it is useful if you don't have those things. So if you're prestiging and you don't have stam shots unlocked, you're prestiging and conduit is kind of up there in the thing, then it goes a little bit higher. So I don't know, chat, where do you want me to put it? Without conduit and stam shots, or with? See, okay, because like that's kind of the difference. And most people bring stam shots. You can get stam shots from consumable boxes as well, like small stams. There's just a lot of way to get stam in the game right now where you don't really need that. So I'm gonna put in C. This is Dewclaw. I think it increases the amount of damage you do with bows, bow melee, and it's pretty bad. Even on a bow build, I would not run this. It's not worth the slot. It's not worth changing anything over for it. It's pretty bad. It's got a cool animation. Pretty bad. Doctor, best trait in the game. You should grab it, put it on every single hunter you ever get. This is the first trait you should almost go for. I think it's the most expensive trait in the game. I think it's like 9 points compared to every other trait. There's a reason for that. It's because it's the best trait in the game. So every hunter should have Doctor. Fanning is going to go in like A. Some pistols are really good with fanning. Some pistols are really shit with fanning. And it slows down your swap speed just having fanning with a lot of pistols. So if you have fanning and you swap from your main hand to your pistol, that swap speed is slower with fanning, depending on the pistol, but most pistols. So it's not even that useful for those builds. You really need to play into this, but like certain, like if you have a conversion pistol or something, it's pretty good. But still, once again, it's one of those like iffy traits. You don't really need it, even on a Phantom Bolt pistol. And then really good pistols like the Spitfire, Dolch, Officer, Army, they can't even use it. So you get these traits first, and then it just depends on the build if you want to bring that in. Frontiersman is definitely going to go up here. It gives you, if you play with traps, it gives you more traps. If you play with decoys, like decoy fuses and stuff, it gives you more decoys. It gives you more med kits, which is good for every build. And this with another med kit, that's like basically another full heal right there. Very, very good. Good wombo combo. And this one costs a lot. So I think you can kind of tell that the devs value it a lot too, where it's very good. I'll put Gator Legs at like B. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's gonna get kicked out by a lot of these traits. You can run it on builds if you want to. It's just there's gonna be a lot of other traits that kind of take precedence. Ghoul, you can just put Ghoul, like, it's nice to have, but not needed, especially with some of these others. It gives you health if you kill a zombie. Most of the time, if you're in a fight and you just took damage from something, either most of the zombies are dead in the area, or you would have to waste a valuable shot shooting a zombie to get health back that could be used shooting at the hunters in front of you, like the one that just hit you, or something like that. The only time it's really, really useful is when you're clue hopping, like going from clue to clue to clue, and you can grab the clue, then turn around, the zombies are chasing you, you kill 1 or 2 of them, and then you're back to full health and you can keep running. But Conduit already does that. So it's not the best. It's not the best. And it gets pushed out by all these because there's only 15 slots. Greyhound, once again, it is a pair with determination. It's a stamina fixer, but there's already so many stamina fixers. It lets you run longer without being out of breath. But if your hunter comes with it, it's not the worst thing. It just doesn't come into play a lot with stam shots and conduit and all kinds of other things being in the game. Most of the time you're sitting still and don't need it, or you're running for long periods and you have a stam shot or something. Hornskin, horrible. Not much to say about it. I think it increases your damage with blunt weapons, and there's only a few blunt weapons it actually works with. Just bad. This is really good if you're using a bow. I'll probably put it here. It's really good if you're using a bow. Outside of that, not very useful because it's specifically for the bow, but it increases the damage that you do, so it makes the bow a little bit more consistent on its one shot. And I'm not positive, it definitely feels like it fires at a higher muzzle velocity with the full pull. I don't know for a fact. I've never tested to see if 2 arrows end up at the same place with or without. So take it with a grain of salt, but it definitely feels like it fires faster, and it does steady your shot. But very, very good trait for the bow if you're rocking bow. This trait is not needed. It's for shotguns. It's definitely middle. You can bring it for like Slate, Spectre. Does it work on any others? I think just Slate and Spectre. You can bring it. It's not the worst thing to bring for the build, but all these things are still better. Like right now we're already at, let's say you're bringing a Spectre, then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you might want to put it there. It might go here or here, we'll see. Iron Repeater. Now this one is mandatory if you're playing Winfield and stuff. Speeds up your shot. Makes it easier to double hit, stuff like that. Very, very, very good. Same thing with this one. I think it's Iron Repeater, or this is Iron Repeater, this is Iron Sharpshooter, I think. These are mandatory for their rifles, like Mosin and stuff. It'll just make you shoot faster and overall perform better. Kite Skin, it's S tier, makes you take less damage from fall. And there's a lot of things in this game that make you take fall damage, even just going down a flight of stairs. So any kind of damage resistant stuff, that's why Bulwark's so high too, is really useful all around. This is Levering. I'll probably put Levering in the same tier as Fanning. They're both really good up close in their builds, but they're not mandatory. Like, you don't have to play it with Winfield. Like, if you have Iron Repeater is definitely more important to have than Levering for Winfield, in my opinion. It's very RNG heavy, but once again, it'll still fit in the build if you're running like a Winfield build and want to lever it. With Terminus in particular, it's probably an S, but that's with one specific weapon. Like, you really want this on Terminus. You kind of, if you're going Terminus, you really want Levering. Terminus feels really clunky without it, and it allows you to do a lot of really fun things. But with like Winfield, Centennial, stuff like that, it's not mandatory at all. So I'm going to put it down here. It might be the top of A, because it just depends on your build, but it's not mandatory. Lightfoot is an S tier, or triple S. It's one of these two. I'm going to put it up here. It allows you to maneuver around the compound quicker, quieter, and the amount of ladders you can climb to outmaneuver an opponent, the amount of times you can Lightfoot hop around like a prison or something like that to just get an angle they don't expect you at, is very, very good. The outplay potential with this trait is phenomenal. Like, it outplays new players, it outplays average players and it outplays experienced players all the time. Very, very, very good trait if you want to try to outplay some other people. I don't know what this does. Anybody want to help me with that trait? I don't know what that trait does. I don't know what it is, and is it Magpie? I think Magpie gives you some shit if you pick up a bounty, right? Random buff on clue. Okay. Yeah, it's just not as good as these traits up here, and so it's gonna get tossed in the D tier because there's never really any reason you want it. It's only 1 or 2 points. It's a nice little trait, but it needs a buff if anyone's ever gonna run it. Yeah, I think it only works for bounty. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's just bounty, and it gives you like poison or stamina or something, maybe even regen for a little bit. And it's not good. It's not good. Pack Mule, Triple S, very, very good, mandatory for any build that has, I mean, anything. If you bring shots in, though, it's mandatory. So, like, if you bring Stam Shot, Antidote Shot, Regen, heals, like just regular heal shots. If you get into a fight and after the fight you're looting bodies, you want to fill up on consumables and stuff. It's what gives you the ability to push compounds. It's what gives you the ability to outmaneuver people that are hiding in corners and not wanting to move and camping in certain environments. It just allows for a lot of outplay potential in pretty much all situations. So even though it's RNG on what you pick up, it gives you more med kits, it gives you more traps, it gives you more decoy fuses. Like, it just gives you more to work with, which is always good. And I'm definitely going to put it like there-ish. Something like that. Mithridatus is definitely not needed. It's nice to have when you have it if you don't have an antidote shot, but not needed. Necro is S. Very clearly for solos right now, it is absolutely mandatory. For trios, it's absolutely mandatory. Like, it doesn't matter your playstyle, what you're doing, you'll find a use for this in some game at some point. It's game changing on how reses work. It's game changing on outplaying just about any player that's trying to watch bodies and just stand still. Very, very good trait overall right now. And with the way Grounded works, it's even good for solos. I would put it here because it's like, well, if you're solo, you don't need it at all. If you're duo or trio, it's really nice to have. But right now, you just need it for everything. So it's going in the S. Physician. Physician will go down here. It's, once again, nice to have, but Doctor is the key here, right? And then you either want to pick up, like, Frontiersman or this. This combo right here is the perfect healing combo. You want Doctor, Physician, and Frontiersman. But like I said, there's already so many traits. Like, Necro is way more valuable than Physician. Physician's nice, but Necro's more valuable. Lightfoot, I don't know. Like, it's iffy. It's iffy. Kiteskin is only 1 point, and I would take Kiteskin. Let's say I had, 5 points. I think that's what Physician is. I would spend 1 on Kiteskin and spend like 4 on Pack Mule or something else than getting Physician. You know what I'm saying? It's really good to have, and it's going to be in most your hunters. It's just Doctor is what you want, and then the other 2 are kind of like huge bonuses. Pitcher's fun, pretty good, but it's on the level, I would say, of fanning and levering, where it's a nice buff to have to a build, but you don't need it. And the items that really gain value from it is medium dino bundle, big dino bundle, B-bomb, and flashes. Like, all those things are really useful to throw like super far. Even like grenades get some value, but grenades, like the frag bombs, pretty much always give value. Like, you don't need it for that. So it depends on your build, on if you want to pick it up or not, but it's on the lower end of mandatory traits. All right, this one might cause some controversy. If you play traps, I think this is a very undervalued trait. If you play traps, I want to say it's probably in the S. I want to say it's like in the S category. If you play traps. If you bring traps in, or your buddy brings traps in, it is really good for, like, if people are camping around you to like reallocate traps. Let's say you got 2 traps, right? And there's 5 entrances in your compound. It really helps if you hear someone sneaking up on a way that isn't trapped, but they're not moving very fast. you can pick up one of your traps and place it down over there and kind of outmaneuver or adapt to the positions your enemies are taking. On top of that, if somebody is pushing you, so like you're even outside a compound, you're like at a mound or something and someone is pushing you, it allows you to quickly put one down and they have no clue that there's a trap behind that mound anymore. So you can play around it and they'll push in and potentially hit the trap, and then it's basically a kill for you because they'll hit the trap. You probably have some kind of rifle like a carabiner or something, you can just shoot them, or they hit the trap and then you shoot them with the shotgun, you know, like left side peek them or something. Do you see what I'm saying? Very, very good for conch traps, very good for all traps, but yeah, it's super undervalued how aggressive you can be with traps and trap placement with this, and people have no idea they're there, and it just changes fights. Very, very good undervalued trait. This one, I don't know what this does. I'm gonna put it down here somewhere. I don't remember what this does. I don't even know what it is. What is this? Oh, that's poison sense? Yeah. This trait is garbage. That's poison sense. Even on a full poison build, I don't take this. Because it's just... The only time you take it is if you're wanting to meme and bring like a nitro and then poison them and then try to shoot them with the nitro through like 20,000 things. Even then, it's pretty worthless. Very niche. It's so bad. Resilience. If you're a solo, it's definitely up here because it allows you to not just be out of the match if someone puts a conch trap on you or something. So like, it's very, very good on a solo right now with self-res. On a trio, it's definitely less valuable. So it's a trait you can kind of make room for depending on your playstyle and what you're doing. But it's still valuable. Like, it still has value even if you're on a trio. It's just way less valuable or needed compared to a solo. It's not the worst trait in the world. You know, it's definitely not these. But we'll see how many traits are up here first before we put it. It might be an S, but let's keep it an A for right now. Let's keep it an A, and then we'll go from there. Quartermaster, you only need it for quartermaster builds. Like if you're trying to bring certain things, and there's no quartermaster build that is like, just gotta have it. So I'm gonna put it in like the B tier. If you want to mess with quartermaster builds, you take it. If you don't want to mess with quartermaster builds, you don't put it in your character. Why, like Doctor is used on every character, Necro is used on every character, so it doesn't do anything special for you. Salve skin doesn't do anything special for you. We'll probably put it on C. Where's, yeah, there's Mithridatist. It slows down burn, but you're still gonna burn, so it's just not that useful. It's just not that useful. I've never found a situation where I have this and I'm like, oh my god, thank you that I have salve skin. Like, it can slow down burn if you're soloing right now, to where, but even then, like, they're still gonna watch until you burn out. So I haven't found a situation yet where I'm like, this is absolutely needed. It's cool to have, and it's worth a lot of points. So if you are able to pick it up in a match, pick it up, and then you can like refund it and get a better trait. If you're playing Bomb Lance, this is S. If you're playing Saber, this is S. Like if you're playing any melees, this is kind of S. Like if you're playing Combat Axe, Saber, Bomb Lance, and right now Bomb Lance is pretty popular, but it's mandatory for melee builds if you're rocking any melee stuff. Serpent is cool to have, but not mandatory. I'm gonna put it like wherever resilience ends up. Cool to have, really useful in certain situations. Other situations, not that useful, but it lets you grab bounties and clues and stuff from outside range. Right now, Conduit basically allows you to tank damage and then pick up the clue anyways. So outside of bounty snatching, Conduit's just better for clue stuff. Is this steady aim? This has got to be steady aim. Steady aim's pretty good. Steady aim's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's mandatory though. I would definitely say it's on the level of like, yeah, it's probably a little below a lot of these. So I'm gonna put it around there. Good, but not absolutely mandatory to any build. Even the builds that use scopes, obviously, that's all you would use it for. But this trait sucks. As far as I know, it didn't even work on certain pistols that it were the only things it could work on. So, like, yeah, they need to do some work with that one. Not very good. This trait's fun, but once again, not needed on any build. Very, very fun trait, but fun does not mean comparable, useful. Very, very fun, though. This one allows you to see traps, I believe. And I'd probably put that at, like, yeah, like a B or A, low A or maybe higher B. Yeah, kind of around here. I think is a good place to put it. It's a very useful thing because a lot of people use traps. So knowing what ways they're trying to watch and stuff, if you just see trap placement, you can kind of tell where the people inside are sitting anyways. So it's not horrible. It's definitely not horrible. I don't know what this does. I remember it's bad, but I don't know what it does. Vulture, not needed. Pretty cool trait that does some good things, but definitely not needed. And Whispersmith. Whispersmith's probably going to go A. It's, once again, really good, unlike Bomb Lance builds and stuff, but it's not mandatory. And it's not just good on Bomb Lance builds. Like, it's good on rifle builds and stuff if you're continuously swapping your weapons for distance. For instance, let's say you have a Lebel Marksman, and then you have a Quartermastered Caldwell Rival Shoddy with slugs. So obviously you're going to use the Lebel Marksman when they're far, but then when someone starts getting close enough, you're going to whip out that shotgun. And them not knowing you have a shotgun or that you swapped weapons as they were coming up can make it seem like your Lebel Marksman is still out when it's not. And so it allows you to outplay a lot of people because they're just kind of guessing on what weapon you have and which one you bring out. Not as good as these, and I think that's most of the traits. So I'm going to count here because basically you go up to 15. And let's say we're running a build. We'll use one of these because this is for rifles. This is for repeating rifles. This is for both rifles. This is for crossbows. So we'll count one of those. And this is for build exclusive 2. So we'll count 1. So we're saying we're going for a build. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 if you use traps. And these are all, you know, if you're using scopes. And then 12, 13, 14. It depends on what build you're using here. But yeah, so basically it stops around here-ish. So you can kind of see where a lot of these traits are just so bad that you just don't want to spend a slot. That's one reason why I like using stamp shots too, is because it allows me to use more useful traits and not have to take these. And my stamp system is still solved. So like Dauntless is really good. Pitcher is okay. 100 hands depending on the build. Not needed for bow, but really nice. Let's move this maybe up here. Let's move this maybe up here depending on build. But yeah. I'm looking at these. None of these are needed. Vulture's not horrible. Let's do that, and then let's move these maybe here. No. Because, like, so these are the mandatories, and then these are the ones you want to kind of finish out your build. And then all of these are basically you never grab them, but if you see, like, a Quartermaster lying around, you want to play a Quartermaster build, then you're like, yeah, I'll pick up Quartermaster. So I think that's looking pretty good. Why don't we put Ghoul, like, there? Bullet Grubber, I can put there. Mainly I'm putting Bullet Grubber there because of... No, let's put it down. Okay. This is looking pretty good to me. Let me see if they're, yeah, ordered properly. Like, is Bulwark the best one here? No, probably Frontiersman. Physician's pretty good, but honestly, Conduit's probably higher. It's probably like this. Resilience definitely depends on the build for this one. Right now, it's absolutely S for solos. Just remember that. Like, this is something that takes up a slot for solos. it's really useful on trios, or I should say pretty useful, but just not mandatory. I think we're looking good. I think we're looking good. Vigor tier S with Lunar Pact. See, I've seen the regen you get with Vigor, the regular regen and Vigor, and I still don't think it's enough. I still don't think it's enough. It's nice, but I still don't think it's enough. Is this Vigor? Okay, we'll move Vigor at a D. We can move it into like, because there are uses for it, but it's not breaking into these three, without a doubt. It's not breaking into these three. All these traits are just way better. Way better. And no matter what build you go, guys, like if you go crossbow, you need this one. If you go Windfield, you need this one. If you go Mosin, Labelle, Carabiner, like you need this one. If you go Bomb Lance, you need this one. If you go a scoped rifle, you need these. If you play traps, you need this. But if you aren't playing those weapons, right, then you don't need those, and you can make some room for some of these down here. Dauntless is pretty good. I'm gonna move it up. Let's probably do something like that. Steady aim. But yeah. Already fairer than dead last. Yeah, so the only reason it was down there, remember, I said I don't know what this does. Like, I couldn't remember what it was. So I was waiting for you guys to tell me. I understand. I understand what it does now, yeah. I understand what it does. I didn't know it was Vigor. I didn't know this was Vigor, guys. I know we're making a big deal out of Vigor, but still, I know what it does. And I still am putting in the B. It doesn't break into like these. I feel like these are more valuable. Like I would rather be able to sneak past crows and stuff. You know, like you're able to run past crows with this trait at a certain distance and they don't aggro or anything like that. I think that's more valuable than this. The regen can be interesting, but like I don't think... I'll put it on the same tier as like Gator Legs, where like they're both useful in some situations. Same thing with this, but it just depends on your build. And it's still not like I would take Whispersmith over this. Like someone throwing a frag at you and you need to put it out, or a choke bomb to put out burn or something on a teammate, is so much more critical and useful than this, in my opinion, where you get stamina, but if you already have conduit or something, you might have full stamina. And then the regen, I think the base regen is usually enough. Like you can pick when you peak and stuff with that. So sometimes it feels a little slow, but you almost always have enough time to base regen. Just know that the pack traits, a lot of the pack traits are like up here. You pretty much want them. That's why you pick the pact to go anyways. But a lot of the pack traits are up here, and we'll see what their final form looks like